Everybody, this is Mitch, and welcome to my next Dungeons and Dragons race review. Today we will be talking about the half elf. Yes. Now, what is a half elf? Well, quite simply, it's half human, and as you may have guessed, half elf. So, it's got a very interesting position in the world. One of the interesting things about the half elf is that well, as half human, half elf, it's really got a unique position. A lot of half races don't do well, but the half elf's something of an exception. Um, well, elves like them because they see them as, you know, a lot like elves, but I mean, they don't fully accept them as an elf because they're not fully an elf, but they actually still kind of value the human side to them in a way. They do see him as less of an elf still, but they actually kind of value the human part of them, that innate curiosity that elves really don't have. Um, the half elves like, I mean, half elves do, and the elves actually value that. And the humans admire elves. So when they see a half elf, half human, they're like, yeah, that guy's awesome. He's just like me, but he's part elf too, so he's got to be pretty cool. You know, they got that nice unique role. In the same sense, they're a great bargaining chip for the dwarves. The dwarves love the half elves because they're part human, so they can kind of get along with them. Um, yeah, they get along with them well enough, and they get along with the elves, so half elves make great mediators there. Um, what else is there about half elves? Yeah, that the half elves they're actually a race that really everybody likes. The halflings, I'm not entirely sure the relationship between them. Probably fairly good. I mean, they're half human, and I mean, halflings and humans get along pretty good. So that would probably work well. The gnomes, I can see them working pretty well. Half elves tend to have a pretty strong affinity for magic, but with having their human um, magical side as well as the magic of the elves, so they tend to have a pretty good sense of magic. So, the gnomes will definitely respect that. So, yeah, half elves get along well with everybody, really, which is pretty cool about them, to be honest. Um, Now, let's get down to the brass tacks of things. I mean, it's basically if you're playing a half elf, one of your parents is an elf and the other parent is a human. So, which one's which? Well, there's actually a lot of room. There's really a lot of room for how that could happen. I mean, with the half orc, you're somewhat limited um, for a lot of reasons, but with the half elf, I mean, your parents could live together. They don't have to have been separated. At the same time, you know, maybe you were raised by the humans, maybe you were raised by the elves. Could be either way. In the same regard, your mom could be human, your dad could be elf, or the other way around. There's really a lot, but that's something that you're going to have to decide when you're building a character that's a half elf. Is which one of my parents was the human, which one was the elf, and where did I grow up? How did my parents meet? It was likely some sort of a love story. I mean, elves are graceful. Your human parent probably found himself smitten by the elf. The elf might have, you know, been curious about the human's constant advances and, the just how outgoing and forward the human parent would probably have been. So you got a bit to work with there. It's definitely something you were going to want to work out. In terms of working with a party, like I say, half elves get along with everybody really. So yeah, half orcs tend to be a bit envious of the half elf though, because the half orc sees them. Okay, another fellow half human mix. Awesome, except for they're half elf. I mean, come on. That's lucky them. I have had to deal with this crap and they get the nice life. I mean, half orcs are definitely jealous, and at the same time, half elves, I mean, they're half elf, whereas the other one's half orc. So elves hate orcs. So half elves tend not to like half orcs for that reason. So it's kind of an odd mix there. Um, Half elves, I don't believe they get any bonuses to their stats at all. Although they do get some of the elves' cool little perks, like they don't ever have to sleep or anything like that. I think half elves do have to sleep, but not as long as a normal human would. Um, yeah, and they get like bonuses to diplomacy and stuff, which makes sense. Um, what else is there about the half elf? Well, well, in terms of classes, um, they actually go with, like their human parents on that, and they can be anything, which is pretty cool. Um, but they do have some that they lean towards a little more than others, like the druid, the ranger, the wizard, so just like the elf. But there's a few others that they're likely to go up. I mean, they're likely to go paladin, even more so than their elven parents. Um, they're likely to go monk, because monk's an odd one that usually it's only humans, but half humans are fairly likely to take that path as well. So, kind of an interesting one there. Yeah, they're not too likely to go for something like the barbarian. Their elven side's a little bit too graceful. I mean, human side sure can do anything, but barbarians are a little bit, you know, a little bit too crazy for the grace of their elven side. So, I mean, there's some classes that are fairly unlikely like that, but yeah, there's a fair number. Um, some other cool stuff you could do, like a sorcerer, would be interesting. I know there's a prestige class. I forget which book it's in, but I know there's a prestige class that's actually a mix between the sorcerer and wizard. So a half elf would actually be a pretty good um, race to do something like that if you're thinking of doing that. Um, yeah, that's about all I got on the half elf, really. If there's anything you want to add, feel free to leave a comment. Like the video. I could definitely use the support. Subscribe to my channel. But, anyway, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you.